4, 3, 2, 1. Action.
Well, we're back.
Yes, we're here, we're queer. Today, our theme is going to be happy queer. Because I had been thinking that this was more like happy queer moments, and you have been thinking that it's more like
The positive experience of being LGBTQ.
and you can,
We
link
can-
them together.
exactly.
Anyway, it's gonna be happy queer theme, that we can say.
Exactly. I think it's also sometimes the negative side of things. Sometimes they take over the conversation, as we do want to cover them also. But I think it's also nice to start from the positive.
Yes.
Because I do have to say I love being queer.
I also love being queer, but we also have to realize we are privileged and
Yes, and that's actually something that is very important to say before we start our conversation. I think it's actually good to clarify that in the sense that we're going to talk about positive experiences today, coming also from our particular positions. And I would say maybe we're going to get to that, but in the sense of we might also come from some privileged position that allows us to say those things. If that is not the case for you, if you are in a situation in which you don't feel safe, in which you feel that also you don't have the possibility to express yourselves, we absolutely support you, and we would never tell you that this should be also an indication for you to put yourself at risk.
No.
In any way.
No.
Actually, always stay safe. I think everybody should always consider that. This is also not an invitation for you to come out if you don't feel you're ready to do it. Always listen to yourself, understand your times, and don't put yourself at risk in any moment. But having said that, yes, we're gonna have a very positive episode today, and we're gonna talk about some good things related to LGBTQ. We start with our questions now.
what have you done?
Well, I've been just living my life, literally. That includes just me being queer, because that is part of the things that I am.
Yeah.
So just me being, it includes myself just being queer. I know that we're just gonna talk about positive things today, but I mean, it's already a remarkable thing when you think about it, that just because of you are something, it already makes you illegal in about 70 plus countries. But if I look at my week, I actually haven't been doing anything different than most people, which is I've been working, I have been coming home, I've been cooking, and just living a normal life.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
The only difference is that I define myself as a queer person. I also use the label pansexual. And my partner, he identifies himself as gay, right? But that would be basically the difference. But that already puts on me a particular condition under some people's perspective. Pretty much, what have I been doing this week? I've been living my life, and that makes me queer. What have you done this week?
Well, in that sense, I've also existed, taking up space on this earth as a queer. I identify as queer or pansexual.
Oh, so we're very alike there. So cool.
I feel like there is a lot of pansexual energy in this room right now.
Yeah, it is.
We're pan some fun.
What do you think about the word pan?
One person literally asked me one time if I was sexually attracted to pandas, and the worst thing is that I don't think they were joking. I believe they were asking, like, seriously. Not
I
very
like the
clear
word
for-
poly better. I've been thinking a lot about I know for sure that I'm pan and pansexual and I feel comfortable with that. But I used to identify myself as polyamorous. I was 100% sure that I was poly before. I was like, okay, I found my number one identity. And then when I changed partner, it went like, this doesn't suit at all us. But does that
Absolutely.
mean that I'm not polyamorous anymore? Or does it just
sure.
mean that polyamory is something that suits for different occasions?
I would think that it also depends a lot on the particular conditions in which you are.
And is polyamory, is it queer?
Yes.
Even if you're straight?
Yes. I mean,
so it's a
personally,
queer identity yet still.
yeah,
Mm.
I would say yes.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
because personally, also that's why I like the word queer,
Yeah.
which is why I use it myself, because it can work also as an umbrella concept, and I think it includes a lot of different expressions of attraction, subjectification, identification, and so on. Am I straight enough?
Yes.
Am I gay enough?
Yes.
Are we filming?
Yes.
What have you seen?
It's basically my camera roll on my phone. And some of the moments that I would like to really point out, because I think it's something that we can discuss also, it's how much I miss Pride, particularly during this time. Like, we are now in Stockholm and we haven't had a Pride now for 1.5 years almost. To me, I think just looking back at those pictures and realizing how you feel also when you're living that moment, it just came to me also how important Pride is for the whole LGBT community.
Oh yeah.
First of all, feeling that you belong somewhere, the feeling that you're safe, also surrounded by people, the idea of community. One point also that I think it came out when I was looking at those pictures is the word family coming back to me the whole time, because it's like, I think now this has become a little bit more of I think it's almost like a pop culture reference. I think RuPaul has made that happening, but it's like, I mean, the fact that they say we queers actually are able to choose our families, and this is of course unfortunately because a lot of us have been having very bad situations when it comes to coming out to families and so on. Since that has been the case for a lot of people in the community, then of course the other door that opens is, well, but you create your own circles, right? I mean, you surround yourself with people that understand you and that in the end maybe share also the same things that you're feeling, or that at least can understand the things that you're feeling. And I think that is something that to me has been always very present in Pride. I mean, this idea that every time I see the people that I see there, because usually I only see them there, it feels like you have never stopped seeing them, and that you just like go there and everything just continues from the previous year. One thing that is very telling about this family feeling is that the group that always gets the largest ovation while they're marching is Stolta Föräldrar, which is P flag in English, so parents of lesbians and gays, the association of parents of lesbians and gays. When they're walking by, I mean, the crowd just goes crazy, to the extent that if you're there, I mean,
I get goosebumps.
Exactly. When you're there is no way that you don't feel like crying. I mean, because it's like the way in which they get applauded by everybody and everybody's cheering, and it's like, because of course you understand that feeling also. I mean, I have been fortunate enough that I have never had a personal situation, for example, with my parents, that they would not accept me and so on. Luckily, they love me. Luckily, they love my boyfriend also.
We are really lucky.
Exactly.
Because as I know, we are a bunch of very few lucky bastards.
Exactly.
And that's why it's so extra touching when you see
those things
parents.
also, and when you see also the importance that these figures, I mean, that you see also organized parents portraying themselves as, well, we're here not only because I have a child that is LGBT, but because there's other children that are LGBT and that they need a parental figure. Oh my God, I mean, that feeling to me is just like over the top. Exactly. What have you seen?
To link it to the positive sides of being queer, I have to talk about the number one theory that have meant the most for my queerness. Can you guess which one it is?
I'm gonna say the L word.
Yeah! Because that was exactly in the beginning. I was like 18 when I came out. Of course, I am privileged to be a cis woman and stuff like that. I have a lot of privileges, but the fact that for me the L word really showed like I could identify as them. I was like, okay, like this was news for me, that I don't have to be super butch.
That there's different expressions.
Yes.
Exactly.
And for me, I know L word have got a lot of criticism also for showing like.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, it was like, yes,
Oh.
this is, oh my god, like I love that show and I still love it, like, because I just felt so, I had a crush in mostly every one of them.
But who the most?
Oh my god, I have to pick three.
Okay.
Three top.
You're choosing half of the cast already.
Yeah. But Shane, of course.
Yeah, that's
Who doesn't have a crush on Shane? But Carmen.
Mm-hmm.
Carmen, her Shane's girlfriend, and Beth.
Yeah, I would understand Shane 100%. Everybody moisturizing.
It's important.
This is the moment. Come
Always
on,
take care of your
everybody.
hands, especially during these times. It's important to take
Everybody
care
at
of your
home
hands.
also, moisturize.
What have you heard?
It's a video that I have actually liked a lot from a trans activist from the 1970s and all the way till the late 1990s until I think she died in 2002, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong, but so I'm talking about Silvia Rivera, who is a trans activist that was also part of the whole Stonewall movement. So this means also she was an active part of the beginning of the Pride movement. I'm talking about Pride again, but I don't care. I love Pride. And it's a video from the New York City Pride from 1973. It's a very short video in which she actually confronts the march. And the reason is because she's perceived at that moment by the mainstream LGBT movement back in the 70s as being somehow too aggressive in her tactics also, and as maybe not representing the mainstream views for gay rights at the moment. But what she's talking about basically is, yes, about trans rights. She's talking about also the problem of homelessness in LGBTQ youth, incarceration, drug use, and so on. So it's like she's really acknowledging some things that maybe were not that part of the mainstream LGBTQ agenda at the moment. But I think it's such an amazing video. She starts the speech with something in the sense of like, you all better be quiet now. Which is like, it's a super powerful statement, which then she just throws it out and then she starts saying her whole idea of Pride and saying like, well, you know, you haven't been paying attention to these things. I have been actually talking to some people that you have been ignoring. They write to us, they don't write to you, and so on and so on. She basically lectures the march. And I think it's such a powerful statement, what she makes. But this is just a particular instance in 1973. But what I mean with that is that it really represents the sort of contradictions that we live also within our community and that we experience almost every day. But I would say even particularly during Pride. I think one of the things that I love about Pride is the fact that you can see so many different things that somehow feel contradictory. In the sense of like, I mean, some groups would actually ask for some particular things, while some other groups would ask for other things, and if we still go back to Pride as a protest. But not only that, I mean, if you think about modern Pride today, for example, you see groups that are, you see the police marching, for example, at Pride. Well, at the same time, you will see a group protesting against the police and their actions, for example, to be part on extraditions of people to places in which being LGBT can be quite dangerous also. You see also, for example, a lot of people that are complaining or protesting against the fact that Pride has been too commercial, as you said before, and organizing even Pride events outside of Pride that they're like alternative Prides and so on, which I think it's amazing also that it happens, but it's part of the whole conversation, right? I mean, those contradictions, they have contributed to make us exactly how we are today. And I think there's nothing wrong about them. Like, I really think that we as LGBTQ people, we are able also to just grasp those contradictions and make them part of who we are. And even if we not necessarily agree 100% with the one that is in front of us, we can still see ourselves as part of the community. What I have heard, it led me back to the idea of contradictions, and I love them. What have you heard this week?
Silvana Imam.
Yeah. For those that do not know her, so we're talking about a Swedish rapper. She identifies herself as a lesbian, if I'm not wrong. Yep.
That's one of my biggest gay icons, I would say. Her music is also like so empowering and in so many ways.
She has some songs that are actually quite powerful and quite empowering for the LGBT community. Like, talking about mainstream again, she had made mainstream the phrase "Thank God I'm gay."
Tack Gud jag är homo!
One of her songs that became quite popular also, that phrase is yelled. But it's true. I mean, the music has also that same power to create a sort of identification.
And she stands for so many good things.
Have you heard Lil Nas X?
Yes! And that video!
Oh my God! It's actually pretty good.
It's a dream. What have you read?
Oh my God! I have a book with me, and I decided to bring a book that I actually bought this with you some weeks ago. This is a book that I have actually read several times. So I'm talking about Jean Genet's The Thief's Journal. Is it on video?
Yes.
It's basically a fictionalized self-biography of Jean Genet himself, where he describes his experience as a young queer person living in the 1930s, basically, around Europe, a little bit on the underground side of things, right? So including experiences as a prostitute, as an inmate, as a thief. I mean, of course, the experiences that he describes also as part of his own, this is like his own journal, let's say, even if it's fictionalized to a certain extent, but it reflects also some of his own experiences. Then he went on to become a super amazing writer, so which he's amazing. I mean, the book is beautifully written, but precisely because of that, because the book is so beautifully done, I think one of the things I got from it as a youngster, it's exactly that, is how LGBTQ people can find beauty within very difficult situations. I mean, I saw that in that book when I was very young, but I see that still today. I mean, it's like, I mean, even I'm not now necessarily talking about Sweden, but when I talk about people coming from different countries also and they experience LGBTQ life in Sweden, or that they just tell me about how it is in other countries, which is like still the things that we have been talking about today. I mean, in the sense of like that idea of community, the idea of family, the idea of resistance also through your own stance. You can find it almost in every single part of the world, even if we still have part of the world where they're trying to put down the LGBT community through a lot of different methods. Within the community, you still find those things. And I think it's so beautiful also to recognize it. And I think where I'm going with this is, it's very hard to get out of motivation as an LGBTQ. Of course, it can happen a lot, and I'm sure we can deal with a lot of issues and so on. But if you're looking for inspiration, Jesus, you're gonna find it. There has been so many good things done by LGBTQ people, and this is why I like talking a lot about queer history, because I think it's such a beautiful thing also to realize how these things just keep happening. The concept that I'm trying to get to is resilience. So it's like, I think one of the very positive things that we find within the LGBT community is precisely that, resilience. Is the ability to like get through very difficult things, and it gives you a little bit of a thick skin about some things. That is just, of course, a result of a not very positive condition for us. But I do think that we should value a lot the sort of motivation that we can get out of that. And I think that book for me as a youngster, it really was like a literally, as you said, like a light in the end of the tunnel. Like it really guided me a lot through just finding beauty within my own existence also. But I do think that those examples, you can find them everywhere within queer history.
Yeah.
Minerva, what have you read?
It's actually about my partner, Jimmy, and the comments that I've read on their Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm gonna show some comments here, like, but it's just ever since Jimmy started being who they really are in Instagram, they have got so much, of course, negative. But what really warms my heart is the positive comments.
But that is exactly the thing. It's like, I mean, as we were talking about, I mean, the fact that we're talking about the different ways in which you manage to identify and subjectivize yourself also through others. And I think it's so cool in this case, like when someone's so close to you, you can see that other people find their own subjectifications through them.
Exactly. And they even say like, you inspire me, stuff like thanks to you, I do this, and it's like, whoa.
Exactly.
Did my partner's picture influence a person on the other side of the world to feel more comfortable in their own skin? That's cool.
But you know that something specifically of the case that you're talking about, which is, we have been mentioning, of course, that, for example, when we were young, that there was not that many role models that you can find, for example, in mainstream media and stuff. And here we're talking about, at least back then, I mean, we're really referring to gay and lesbian characters that we could find easily, for example, on TV. But in this case, we're actually talking about non-binary identities also, which I think it is even harder. So I think the fact that people find also an inspiration or even like a way to identify through them, I think it's actually amazing. But that is precisely the fact that we're saying that the necessity of keeping opening those spaces up. There has been a lot of movement towards trans/non-binary rights that, yes, have been neglected by the mainstream LGBT community. And that's true, of course. I mean, gay rights have, of course, a lot of the times have been literally gay rights. And I think that is something that we need to pay a lot more attention to. But that's precisely what I mean with acknowledging and appreciating the contradictions, in the sense of like, we need to listen to those voices and the voices within the community that haven't been listened to. We can round up a little bit. For me, I mean, the three things that I have been putting out today as three very positive things that I have experienced as an LGBTQ person is the sense of family and community, the internal contradictions of the LGBTQ community, which I absolutely love, and resilience, the fact that, I mean, our community and ourselves, I think, we have learned through our community to manage somehow to really be able to tackle some very difficult situations and still just be there, be proud, and be queer. And I just have to say, that at least in my personal experience, I am happily there, I'm happily proud, I'm happily queer.
I love this topic. It was, as we said, we were leaning toward the negativity. Some parts, it was so easy, because when we talk about, because you cannot close your eyes, of course, that it is like that, but it was really refreshing for once to just focus on the positive stuff.
Again, just stay safe, be yourself, stay true to yourself, love yourself.
Comment here and connect with others. That's the beauty with social media. We can connect even though we're here, we're family.
That's the thing. We're queer, we're family. Exactly. That's how it should be.
And not everyone in the families are the same. No, that's not the meant of family. We're all different, but we still belong together.
And you can have disagreements, and you can actually even hate each other at some point.
Yeah, but you still belong.
But the love is always greater than everything.
Yes,
exactly. But now there's only one thing to say, which is, remember that you have to
like and subscribe and click that bell.